Welcome to the Workamper Show, a podcast devoted to helping you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. I'm Steve Anderson, the president of Workamper News. Each one of our episodes will either introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to opportunities to work short-term jobs. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Thank you, Steve. Today we're going to talk with someone who knows a great deal about RVing in New England. Today's episode is sponsored by The Dreamer's Journey, a new online course and community produced by Workamper News. Life is way too short to keep your dreams on hold, so don't be held back by fear, because you were designed for more. Get started with the RV lifestyle the right way with this comprehensive guide. For a monthly subscription fee, people can participate in 2 online webinars every week to learn things like what type of RV to buy, goal setting, how to budget for the adventure, developing a positive mindset, where to call home, and how to find a job or start a mobile business. All online events will be recorded for watching at any time. Subscribers can also join an open question and answer session each month. For more information, visit www.rvdreamersjourney.com. Bob Zagami is a lifelong resident of New England. He has been a journalist covering the RV industry for decades. He is also the executive director of the New England RV Dealers Association and host of a weekly podcast called RVing in New England. Bob describes a number of fun and interesting things people can do and see in the New England area, both inside and outdoors. He also talks about some work camping opportunities and the need for people to work a variety of jobs in that area. He describes what the weather is like and how it can vary from month to month. Bob also assures people there are enough RV dealers and mobile technicians throughout New England to get their RVs fixed if necessary. He offers some tips on how to make the best of your adventure in New England, especially how to find a campground in the very popular vacation destination area. Bob describes his weekly podcast and types of things he and his partner, John DePietro, discuss with guests every week. He also shares how you can listen to the very popular show. Bob has a home near Boston and a summer home in Maine. He's a diehard promoter of all things New England, so please welcome my longtime friend Bob Zagami to the show. Thanks for joining us today, Bob. I appreciate it. Now, you are a lifelong New England resident, are you not?
I am. I had many occasions where I could have transferred out of the area and chose not to because I love the area and I love the 4 seasons, and I'm not going anywhere.
You split your time between Massachusetts and Maine, correct?
We do. We have a park model RV up at Seacoast Resorts in Maine, which is it's a unique thing. I'd like to see more campground owners do it. It's actually classified as a campground, but it's a complete park model resort. So everybody has a full-fledged regular park model, the pitched roof and what have you, and they have a sunroom on it and they have a deck on it, so it looks like a little housing community. But because park models are RVs, and because they're RVs, it is a campground, but it's a gated community. We got a clubhouse, we got a pool, 110 sites, and it's just a fun place to be. So we try to, well, it opens on May 1st to October 31st. So we got a 6-month season up there, and we spend probably 5 or 6 nights a week and only come back to Massachusetts for appointments or if I have to see a client. Is
camping really popular up in New England?
It's phenomenal. You know, it's in Maine especially. It's probably the best kept secret. But yeah, we have probably over 400, I think, close to 500 private campgrounds in New England. In every state has a kind of like a major area that's a focal point for them. In the terms of, you know, Massachusetts, it could be the Cape Cod in the southeast region. Rhode Island would be Newport and the beaches. Connecticut's got the whole Connecticut shore with a lot of campgrounds in that area. Plus, they have a lot of casinos down there. Vermont up in their mountains, luxury, you know, small villages and what have you that you can get to. New Hampshire, we got the White Mountains. In Maine, we got the seacoast, and you know, it's one of the longest seacoasts in New England, maybe in the country. And so between that and the attraction of Acadia National Park, there are a lot of places for campgrounds. I'm surprised when I see more new activity, but I think as as the economy grows, we will. It's just a popular area. The drawback to it is real estate's very expensive, but it gets tough getting a campground reservation in New England in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know I've tried to do that. It's very difficult. And it requires a little advanced planning. That's why we encourage RVers to have a plan as to where they're going to go 3 to 6 months in advance, just so they can make those kind of reservations. But spots are available, but you do have to reserve them in advance. It's not like you're going to wake up one morning and say, I think we'll go up to New England here in the second week of August and expect to find a campground available.
Well, you're right, and we've been promoting that the last 2 or 3 years. I do a lot of posts on that, and we include it a lot in our podcast. And they say that, you've got to make reservations early because we have, number one, we have a short season. This isn't like Florida or California. I mean, we really have a season that goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and some would even say it goes from July 4th to Labor Day. But we're out there, most of the campgrounds are open in May, and they close typically around Columbus Day or the end of October. So you've got basically a 6-month season that you have it. We have a handful, and it's really a handful of campgrounds that open year-round, and those are in mostly Maine and New Hampshire, and they cater to skiers and the outdoor enthusiasts, skidoos and cross-country skiing, hiking in the woods, but there's only a few of those that are out there.
New England is one of the favorite areas for me to visit. I've just enjoyed every trip I've made up there. And one reason is because it's got such deep roots into our nation's history. I mean, you can be RVing up in the Boston area or down in Philadelphia, et cetera, and just immerse yourself in all of that.
You're right. And a lot of people do that. I guess one of the it's not a negative, but there are very few campgrounds close to Boston. Again, because the real estate and density of the population and the industrial base that we have out there. So you've got to be out on what we call Route 128 or 495. So you're going to be out 20 or 30 miles from the city. And if you go south, even someplace as popular as Normandy Farms, which is probably our luxury resort, east of the Mississippi, they tend to win a lot of national recognition. They've been National Campground of the Year several times, but that's down by Foxborough State, by the Patriots Stadium in Foxborough, and that's still 20, 25 miles away. Now, in their case, they got a train that goes into Boston, but the places that are on the outside, a lot of them dictate that you have a car, and then you have to drive in or drive to the public transportation and then take that in. So that's a little bit of a drawback. But one of the best attractions this year, and I'm concerned about it now, in the sense that the challenges that we have this year is actually, when you think about it, it is the 400th anniversary of the landing of the Pilgrims at Plymouth Rock.
Oh, cool.
And so 1620, 2020. So they've been, the state's got all kinds of things planned. I mean, they're probably already into the organization or into the implementation of this whole thing, but they expect people from all over the world to come into Boston and certainly come into Plymouth in that area. Now, that's down close to Cape Cod, so the campground's down there. I'll bet it's impossible to get a reservation right now in a campground down in that area. But that's going to be a big draw this summer. And, again, the rest of the history, Lexington and Concord, and like you say, all the way down to Philadelphia and, Washington, D.C., the whole Northeast is just phenomenal for somebody that likes to look at history.
I think one of the most popular parts about traveling to New England, and one that I hear a lot of people talking about and why it's on their bucket list, is the fall foliage. Can you describe what kind of event that is?
It's when you're looking ahead to winter, you think you'd be crazy to rush it, but I'll tell you, the early October in New England with the foliage, people watch it. There are sites that give you updates every week on where the colors are turning. So whether you're up in northern Maine or northern Vermont, and those colors just transcend down over the rest of New England, it is one of the highlights, because if it's a spectacular year for color, it's an amazing experience. And yes, you will not get a campground in New England in October, especially because it's close to the end of the season. But you get this inundation of so many people coming into New England just to see the fall foliage. Now, while they're here, they'll eat in our restaurants and visit other attractions. But it is truly an amazing sight if somebody has not seen it. And I'm sure it happens elsewhere in the country, but the colors are just spectacular.
When would you recommend that people book a campground then if they wanted to come up to New England in the fall?
Last year.
Last year. So this is something that they're going to require advanced planning to do. So if they wanted to, there might be a couple of sites available right now, but they'd jump on it right away. Okay. Super.
There are people who will book their fall foliage trips 2 and 3 years in advance.
Wow. It's that popular.
To get into the areas that you want to be at. Because they got a relative up here or a friend that says, "Oh, you should go to Kangamangas Highway up in New Hampshire, or you should go up to Acadia National Park, or you should go to the Green Mountains of Vermont, or you should go along the Mohawk Trail in Massachusetts." I mean, and that's the crazy thing about it, Greg. It's all over. So there are a lot of campgrounds that will get you close to it, but it's also an extremely popular adventure.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine. Do they hire a lot of work campers up in that region?
They do, and it's a very popular place for work campers. I've had, before I was in this park model resort that I'm in, I was at a campground in Scarborough, Maine, called Wild Duck Campground, and that was a unique campground. It was over 21, so it was adults only. You could have grandchildren visit. You had a couple of days a year where you could have the grandchildren visit, but anybody under 21, no. So it was a very quiet campground, and it was a small campground. It was like 55 RV sites and I think 20 tenting sites. Work campers used to go, they would compete every year to get in there, and they would bring in, I think, 3 or 4 work camping couples, even though it was a small campground, but they kept it pristine. I mean, the bathrooms were immaculate, and there was no pool, there was no clubhouse. It was a campground. It was in the middle of the woods, but it was only a mile off Route 1, and it was 20 minutes from downtown Portland, the old port and the waterfront district. It was 25 minutes, 30 minutes from LL Bean. It was, close to all the attractions, Old Orchard Beach and what have you. And I always would befriend the work campers because they always had good stories to tell. And you'd find they were always good. I mean, there was never, what I found amazing, but there was none of them that weren't qualified that really didn't love what they were doing. And often I'd say to them, are you coming back next year? Because people that hire work campers and the work campers that are really good, they want them back, when they get them.
Mm-hmm.
But amazingly, as good as it was, and as much of a great experience that they had, they wouldn't, in a lot of cases, come back the next year. They wanted to go someplace else. That's why they work camp. That's the excitement of work camping, is seeing the country and going to different places. Going back to the same campground every year is kind of like having a job, before you were doing work camping. So you get to see and explore different places. But that was really a plum job for work campers. It was called Wild Duck Campground in Scarborough, Maine. And I know it's changed hands since I was there, but I'm sure work campers are a big component of it. But because, the other reason why it's an attractive location for work campers because it is a 6-month season. It's a short season, so you're there for a short period of time, but you have fun. You get to meet a lot of people, and on your days off, look at all the other things in New England that you get to see, because you can drive pretty much any place in New England. If you were work camping in the middle of Massachusetts somewhere, you could get into Boston in 2 hours. You could get out to Albany, New York in 2 hours. You could get to the casinos in Connecticut. You could get to the White Mountains in New Hampshire. So on your days off, you had a lot of things to do and see 6 states at the same time.
And that's neat. Now, driving in New England is a challenge, though, isn't it? Sometimes because the roads are a little bit more narrow?
Roads are a little bit more narrow, and we do tend to have a lot of low bridges. So having a good RV GPS is to your benefit, and knowing which roads to go to. But you can get everywhere. You just may have to go around it. And the other crazy thing about New England is there is no east-west road from, say, Burlington, Vermont to Portland, Maine. So you can't just go across Vermont, New Hampshire to Maine, because there aren't, you'd have to take a back road. I mean, you can do it on the back roads, but you might catch a small bridge or make a couple of detours. If you were trying to get there in a hurry and you wanted to do it on a highway, you would have to go down from Vermont to Massachusetts, come across Massachusetts, then go back up to Portland, Maine. Not the case with Rhode Island and Connecticut, but it's such a beautiful area of the country, and there's so much open land in those 3 states that they often talk about doing an interstate highway across it, but I think they'd get shot if they ever tried to do it.
Have to go over the mountains? Yes.
The towns that they think they want to go through, Greg, are not going to put out the welcome mat.
Sure. What's the weather like in New England, usually in the summer, spring, summer, and fall?
It's really actually very good. I think it's one of the reasons why I've stayed here all my life. It's varied. Like we're getting snow tomorrow, so here we are in the middle of April, and we're going to have snow tomorrow. We haven't had snow all winter, but we're going to have snow tomorrow. So, but the early season, like that, let's say May 1st to Memorial Day, there are a lot of people in our resort that do 6 months in Florida and then 6 months in Maine, and just have a park model in each location. There are some that will delay their trip back and get there around Memorial Day, because May can be very iffy. It could be rainy, it could be chilly. The same goes for October. But then there'll be years when, it'll be 80 degrees on May 1st, and it could be 80 degrees on the end of October. So you never know what the weather's going to be like. But I'm one of those guys. I don't worry about the weather. I don't care if it rains when I go camping. I don't care if it snows when I go camping. I'm going camping.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to wear a coat or an extra set of boots, but I'm going to be out there. So the fact that the elements change, that doesn't really bother me. I can still go up to Portland in a nice restaurant, and I can just walk around the old port in the rain as nice as I can on a summer day in July when it's 102.
So is there plenty to do up in New England besides all the outdoor activities? We've been talking a lot about that. I mean, if people were coming up there with their children and it's a rainy day, there's still things for people to do?
Oh, yeah. We've got a tremendous number of museums, historical landmarks. If the kids like to read and they've read Louisa May Alcott's Little Women, they can go and visit the house that she wrote it in. They can go to Plymouth and see Plymouth Rock and a replica of the Mayflower. All kinds of museums and all over the place, whether it be a country artifact or antique museum like Shelburne Museum up in Vermont, or an airplane museum that they have down at Bradley Airport in Hartford, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
So there's probably kind of a museum for everything up here for that. So that's good. And then the major cities themselves. I mean, just walking the Freedom Trail in Boston. I mean, Boston's a great day trip. When somebody's camping out in the suburbs, shall we say? But taking a day trip to Boston and walking the Freedom Trail and being able to see, the Old North Church and Paul Revere's house, and visit, and go on the Constitution, the oldest, working ship in the United States Navy, still an active ship, and to go on the Constitution and see that. That's the whole day. And then while you're doing that, you stop off at the North End, because you go right through the North End with Paul Revere's house, and stop off at one of the nice Italian restaurants. And these are real Italian restaurants run by real Italians with real Italian food. And within 10 steps of the Paul Revere house, there's one right across the street from the Paul Revere house. So yeah, the history is there.
So if you're homeschooling your kids, this would be an ideal opportunity for you to bring them up to speed on the nation's history.
And I would venture that taking the kids and walking the Freedom Trail, and you can get an audio cassette to take along with you, or you could go on a guided tour, they would get more history in one day than they would get in a whole semester in a public school system. Period.
I'd agree with that.
I'm convinced of that.
I've been on that trail. It is fascinating. And you're right. You can't walk more than 20 feet without running into something else that's historic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I don't know why a lot of our school systems don't, and maybe they do. It's been a few decades since I've been in public school, but I'd make it mandatory in any school's curriculum that there was going to be a field trip, at least a one-day field trip to make these kids walk the Freedom Trail. Because I can tell you this, a lot of their parents haven't done it. That's one of those things where it's in your backyard and you never do it.
That's right.
They go to Boston. They go to Boston to eat. They go to Boston to go to the theater. They go to Boston to see the Red Sox, and they'll walk right through something that's on the Freedom Trail and not even realize it. They'll go to eat dinner in the North End and not realize that one block over is Paul Revere's house.
And they live there.
And they live there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I know that one thing that Maine is known for, and much of New England, is lobsters. Are they really that plentiful?
They are, and I love it. I eat lobster all summer up in Maine. Could eat it all year if you wanted to. But once you love it, if you do love it, then there's probably no place better than Maine. I mean, I've had lobsters in Florida and elsewhere in the country, but because of the cold water and just the way that they grow up there, they're just sweeter, and you can literally get them all year round. And whether it's lobster, the lobster itself, and if you're lazy, then you can have lobster salad or lobster roll. Lobster rolls are extremely, I don't think anybody sells more lobster rolls than the state of Maine, and you can get them hot with mayonnaise, hot with butter, or cold with mayonnaise, whichever way you want. They'll toasted bun or non-toasted bun, but it's a good competitor to fried clams. But a lot of people have fried clams. So.
If people run into a problem with their RV up in New England, is there enough dealers and mobile technicians to be able to get it fixed?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate on that. I run the New England RV Dealers Association. I've got 35 dealers in 6 states, and they're all pretty centrally located. So other than the normal, issue of, because it's a short season, things happen with RVs, they do get very busy. But we've got a couple of dealers. One of my favorites is Major's RV on Cape Cod. Just as after you go on to Cape Cod on the Bourne Bridge, they don't sell RVs. They're strictly a service center. They got all certified technicians, and they're just fantastic. They're probably one of the best in the east of the Mississippi. But they actually leave one of their, and this is a great business practice. I wish more dealers would do it, but they actually leave one of their service bays open with no appointments every day. Because as David Major says, the people who are coming here are on vacation. They don't want to hear that you can't get your RV service for a week,
a month,
or come back in November. So he takes those phone calls, and if somebody calls in the morning, he has the ability to say, please drive it right over. We'll get you in and we'll get you out. And he services them on the spot that day. He doesn't care where he bought them, whether they bought them in California, if they bought them in Texas, they don't care. Or if they bought it in Massachusetts from one of our dealers, and you're down Cape Cod, you know you can get in and out, unless it's a really severe problem, you can get in and out in one day. He'll say, pull it right up to that bay over there, and there's a technician waiting for you.
That's excellent. That's good news.
Yeah.
I understand that you have a podcast that you do every week. Is that right? Or kind of like a podcast, but it's all done on Facebook?
Yeah, we refer to it as the industry's only online talk show, because it simulates a television talk show. And we have guests every week. John DePietro and I do it. We do it every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It does get converted into a podcast. And we have executives. We've had the CEO. We've had Mike Happy from Winnebago. We had Toby O'Rourke from KOA. We've had Don Clark from Grand Design. We've also had some of our dealers on. We've had suppliers. We had Mark Howlett from Truma on a couple of weeks ago, and that show was viewed 12,000 times. So our average viewership, within a week, we archive every show. So even though we do it live and we have viewers that tune in, we have a tremendous following that tunes in every week. And the thing that makes our show unique is we don't script the show. We schedule a guest, and they'll often say, well, do you have any questions for me, or do you want me to send you questions for the show? And we say, no. The show starts at 7 o'clock. We press the button, and we start talking. And we have no idea what we're going to talk about, and we don't know where the show is going to go, regardless of who the guest is, because the show is driven by our fans. They ask the questions, and we show their comments up on the screen. So it's an active part of our show. And not that John and I couldn't talk for an hour, but it's that unique, and people really like it because they're hearing from real RVers every week. And they're not afraid to challenge these people either. I mean, we've had some question people about the quality of the product or about their response time. So these are active RVers, but they come in every Wednesday night. They won't miss it. And we have started, we're doing right now a special Saturday night show at 7 o'clock, just because of the challenging times and the changes that we're seeing in the marketplace. We won't continue that. We'll probably stop at the end of April and stick with our Wednesday night. But we've been doing it 2.5 years, and we average 6,000 to 8,000 views a week. Our most popular show last year had 15,500 views, and these are crazy numbers, but for something like that. But it does simulate a talk show. We can have multiple guests. We can have different angles of view. We can bring up photographs that complement what the guest is talking about. We can show videos. We had Mark and Don Polk on last night, and that was a fun show, as they always are. And we showed some clips of some of their new online streaming training videos that consumers, because they're the best consumer education outlet in the country in terms of their books and DVDs. But this new online streaming service is fantastic because the consumer can go on, and they're inexpensive. It's $39 for a course, and they have some bundled courses. But you can learn a complete orientation, similar to what a dealer would do for delivery inspection, but sometimes gets hurried and you don't get all the information. You can learn how to drive a motorhome and trailer. You can learn how to troubleshoot problems, and so that's always a fun show. And we showed some of their video clips. So we have a lot of capability on it, but it's fun.
The show is designed for RVers, but it brings in industry people and professionals to address the questions that they might have.
Well, that's right, but oftentimes many of our dealers sign up, and we have a lot of manufacturers reps. We got one rep from I won't even say the company, but we have one rep who will not miss every week, and he's there to kind of get a pulse of what are the customers saying. He tells me, he says he learns so much from that show every week, that 1 hour, just listening to the consumers and what their concerns are and what have you. That allows him to service our dealers. He happens to handle a product line that he's got New England area, but it allows him to understand the customer up here and his dealer better. And this particular guy, my dealers tell me he's the best manufacturer's rep that visits them.
That's neat.
He's smart enough to tune in.
And what is your show called, and how can people access it?
It's called RVing in New England. And we started it 2.5 years ago, and we thought, well, it'd just be a fun thing to do under the NRVDA banner, which is my association, without realizing that it was really going to become a national or an international show. It is not unusual for us to have somebody from Australia or England or Alaska, you name it. I mean, it's amazing. But it's called RVing in New England, and they access it on the NRVDA Facebook page. So you simply go to facebook.com/RVing in New England. And we took that when we developed our Facebook page, I don't know, 9-10 years ago. We didn't want to call it facebook.com/NRVDA because nobody would ever search on NRVDA. And you want to be able to get into the search engines. So if somebody searches on RVing in New England, to your point early in the program, somebody says, let's go to New England, next year for our vacation, you're probably going to put in RVing in New England. So it's going to pop up. So that's the name we use on our Facebook page. So facebook.com/RVing in New England.
I know a lot of RV shows have been canceled in the last couple of weeks because of all the problems that they've been having around the country. Do you know if there are any planned for this summer up in that region?
No, we don't typically do shows in the summer up here. We have our winter and spring shows. We did have 4 of them canceled. So it is possible. I haven't heard any rumblings, but I suspect that we will see some in the fall for a couple of reasons. A lot of our campgrounds are talking about extending their season into November to recoup some of the revenue that they lost here in April or early May. And so we expect that we'll still have a lot of travelers up here at that time. But also, I think it's going to be a situation where the dealers may not sell as many units as they had planned for. So a lot of our dealers have tremendous inventory. So when everything gets back to normal, RV sales are going to be high. But they may have a little bit more inventory come September than they would like to have. So I think we'll see some pretty great clearance sales at the dealerships, but we might also see a couple of shows put together just to address that, where people could go and look at it from a clearance standpoint, picking up a new unit in the fall and just leaving it in storage until next spring, but getting a great deal and putting it away at the end of the season. So we typically, don't have that kind of activity, but I do think we will see it this year.
As we come to a close, Bob, I really appreciate your time. Do you have any last-minute advice for people who are considering coming to New England, either to visit or to work?
In either case, I'd say start doing your homework now. Start doing your reservations now. Talk to the friends that have been up here and look at the things that you like to do. Again, whether it's visiting museums, whether it's going to ball games or, if you like to go to the beach or if you like to hike in the woods and kayak down a river. So pick those out and look at some of the campground sites that are out there and some of the directories to give you some good handle on it. And go to, ask the question on our Facebook page. I answer a lot of questions on the Facebook page, and I also do it on other when I see people on other Facebook pages or forums say, gee, we're going to go to New England. RV is good at asking for advice, and RV is good at providing advice. So if I'm on somebody else's forum and somebody says, our family's planning a trip up to New England this summer, what are your recommendations? Well, there's no one answer for that. What type of RV do you have? What types of things do you like to do? How much time do you have to, they look at New England like, let's go to Boston or let's go to New England. That's not quite the case. New England is very big. So how long are you going to spend the time here? What do you want to see? So I encourage people to write to us on our Facebook page, post something up on the Facebook page. That's everybody on our Facebook page, and there's over almost 13,000 fans on there. So you got another 10 or 12 that probably look at it every once in a while. So post something on our Facebook page, and either a dealer will answer you. More than likely, I'll answer you, but sometimes our dealers comment, or sometimes the attractions themselves might put something on there. I would say that no matter where you live and what you like to do, if you want to come to New England for a vacation, we can match what you want to do with something in New England.
Very good.
And you'll have a great time.
Well, thank you again, Bob. I really appreciate the time. New England's a great place to visit, a great place to work, and I thank you for helping to entice people to come up to that region.
Always fun to talk to you. Great. Thanks very much.
Bob Zagami has been a wonderful friend for many years. He is undeniably passionate about the RV industry, the RV lifestyle, and encouraging people to visit the New England region. I have been to New England several times to see Bob over the years, and he has served as an exceptional host. Not only does he know where to get the best lobsters, he also knows about unique places to visit and what time to go to avoid big crowds. It was Bob who suggested touring the harbor in Portland, Maine by taking the mail boat, as it visited several islands every afternoon. He also knew where to get the best clam chowder, lobster bisque, and crab cakes in New England. I appreciated his advice to book your campground sites well in advance of visiting New England. There are some spectacular campgrounds in that region, but they do fill up fast. There are nearly 15 million residents of New England alone, plus 19 million residents of New York who see the New England states as their playground. Some of the best food I've ever had has been in out-of-the-way restaurants in small New England towns. I've had lobsters while overlooking the ocean, pancakes with real Vermont maple syrup, and what they call a shore dinner is something you need to experience. If you listen to Bob Zagami and to John DePietro's RVing in New England podcast, you'll learn everything you need to know about visiting that region. You can listen in live and ask questions via Facebook on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. or find recordings of the RVing in New England shows at www.rvinginNewEngland.com. The fall colors in that area are nothing less than breathtaking, and the scenery is gorgeous. You have to put New England on your bucket list, or even better, look for work camping jobs in New England. Workamper News can help. It's a magazine and online publication that connects RVers to full and part-time jobs around the country. Whether it is running a business from your RV or working short-term jobs for a variety of employers, Workamper News can give you information to help you plan a course to live your own dream and get you on the road faster than you thought possible. For more information about opportunities to live, work, and play in your RV, visit www.workampernews.com. This episode is sponsored by the National RV Training Academy in Athens, Texas. The Academy's one-week live training or home study course will teach you everything you need to know to fix about 80% of the problems people experience with their RVs. You can also sign up for additional training to become an RV inspector, campground technician, or to provide mobile RV service. For more information, visit www.nrvta.com. That's all we have for today's show. Next time, I'll talk with a woman who runs a very special mission from her RV to help parents who have suffered the loss of a child. She'll talk about her remarkable work and mission traveling all over America next time on The Workamper Show. Thanks for listening.